everybody! So today we're going to be working on dividing across 100s, 1000s, and across tens also. So we are going to use our knowledge of grouping to divide, but we're also going to practice covering up our zeros to solve a simpler problem and then adding those zeros back in our answer when we finish. So buckle up, get ready, and let's divide. Remember to always start by cubing your directions. Draw place value discs to represent the following problems. Rewrite each in unit form and solve. My first action word is to draw, and they want us to draw place value discs. They want us to represent the following problems with those place value discs. After we draw, we are going to rewrite in unit form and make sure we solve the problem. So if I look at this problem, I know that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 parts to this problem because I have 4 action words. Alright, so let's start. We need to draw the place value discs. Now our problem is 60 divided by 3. I do not want to draw 60 number discs, place value discs, and it would take up a lot of room on my paper. So I see that the 6 is in the tens place. So instead of drawing 60 ones, I'm just going to draw 6 number discs and make them each have a value of 10. I need to divide these into groups of 3. So I need 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups. So I need 6 discs total, and I need to divide them up into each group, so I'm just going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I said that each disc is going to have a value of 10, so I'm going to add 10 inside that circle so that I remember what the value is. If I count, I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, which is what I needed. And I have them into 3 groups. Each group has 2 discs with a value of 10, and 2 times 10 is 20. So I know 60 divided by 3 is 20. Now they want us to do our unit form. So they wrote 6 tens in words divided by 3, and so I need to write 20 in unit form, and I have 2 tens, which is exactly what I see in my chart. 2 tens. Once again, we're going to start by cubing. Solve for the quotient. Rewrite each in unit form. Our action word is solve. And we're looking for the quotient, which we know quotient is the answer to division. We are going to need to rewrite each in unit form. So this is very similar to the problem we've already done. We're just not drawing those place value discs. So one of the things that we can do as a strategy is to cover up the zeros, divide that way, and then add the zeros back into our answer. So instead of having 2,400 divided by 4, I'm going to cover up those zeros so that it's 24 divided by 4. That's a little bit easier for me to do. So if I do 24 divided by 4, I know that is 6. And then I covered up 2 zeros, so I'm going to put 2 zeros back on my answer. Now, if I'm not very familiar with my 6s, I can use a strategy of finding the multiples of 4 in my white space. So I can say 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. There's my 24. And I can count over how many 4s it took me to get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it took me 6 4s to get to 24, and that's how I could find that 6. So I've solved for the quotient, and now I just need to rewrite each in unit form. So I focused on 24, and I covered up 2 zeros, and 2 zeros always tells us we're in the hundreds place. So I had 24 hundreds, 2 zeros means hundreds, divided by 4 equals 6 hundreds. Okay, this can be tricky because the 2,400 is technically in the thousands place, and so I feel like a lot of friends are going to want to write that there's 24 thousands, but remember it's not thousands because thousands is 3 zeros. This number only has the 2, which is the hundreds place. So if I go back, I've solved for the quotient and I rewrote the each in unit form, and so I'm done with this problem. Once again, we're going to start with our cubes. Because this is a word problem, we'll actually be doing all the letters. C, U, B, E, S. So the C stands for circle the numbers, which we haven't been able to do yet. So the numbers in this problem, a diner sold $2,400 worth of French fries in June, which was 4 times as much as was sold in May. How many dollars worth of French fries were sold at the diner in May? So far I circled my numbers. The next step is to underline the question. How many dollars worth of French fries were sold at the diner in May? That's going to be important so that I know I answer the question that they're actually asking, and that I can use the words in the question when I restate for my answer. So I've underlined the question. We're going to box the action words like we've done in the other problems. I see the words times, but I need to be careful because this can be tricky. When we see 4 times as much, that tells us that that bigger number is the biggest number in the problem. We're not multiplying here because that would mean that our answer would have to be the biggest number in the problem. But here, the 2,400 is the biggest, and it is 4 times as much as sold in May. So if 2,400 is big and we need to bring it down 4 times, we're going to be looking for a smaller number. So we know that times as much does not tell us to multiply. It actually tells us to divide because we're looking for a smaller number. So we've boxed our action words. We're going to evaluate is the E. So I'm going to check, is there any other important information? I have my numbers. I know that I'm dividing, and I have my question. It doesn't really matter that we're talking about French fries in June. It could be any food or any month. So it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to focus on that a lot. So now that I've evaluated, I can now solve the problem. So I have my 2 numbers. I know I need to use these, so I'm going to write those down first. I know that times as much means that I have to divide, so I'll put my division symbol in there. And I'm going to use our trick that we learned to cover up the zeros. So if I cover up these 2 zeros, I have 24 divided by 4. And this is a problem we've already done. So I could rewrite my 4s out, but I've already made my list of 4s for that other problem. So if I went back to that problem to count my 4s, my multiples of 4, to see how many 4s it would take to get to 24, I would know that it would be 6. So I'm going to put down my 6. I had covered up 2 zeros, so I need to add those zeros back in my answer. So I know 2,400 divided by 4 is 600. They gave me words. I need to give them words back. So how many dollars worth of French fries were sold at the diner in May? $600 of French fries were sold in May. I took the words right from the sentence and put them in my answer. And now I'm done.